Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media account. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Before I get into the video, let's see, a couple things I want to cover. The economic calendar for the week. Let's see. So we got earnings coming out starting this week. We got Microsoft, BA, Tesla, and the other big ones are going to be next week. So the next 2 weeks are going to be very, very tricky, and a lot of stuff going on. So let's see. Tomorrow, economic calendar, don't really see too much going on. Why does it say a bank holiday? Oh, that's China. CNY. Okay. Let's see. Tuesday, we got flash services PMI Tuesday morning. Let's see. The 25th, we have really not much going on. We got Bank of Canada's monetary policy rate statement that may have an impact on the market, because we had England and we had I think it was China. I don't remember what the other one was, but we had two central banks that ended up doing some kind of not raising rates and easing the rates, and the market popped on that. So if Bank of Canada ends up doing something on Wednesday at 10 a.m., the market could react to it. So definitely keep an eye on that. Normally I don't really care about stuff like that, but because it reacted to the last two, it was Bank of Japan. It was Japan and Europe that did something a couple weeks ago, and the market reacted. So we could end up seeing something with Canada too. Just to make a mental note of that. That could be a potential market mover. Now, don't see anything on Thursday. Oh yeah, Thursday we just get GDP, unemployment claims. Friday we got core PCE price index and personal income and spending. So we may see something then too. So you got to always keep an eye on the economic calendar. Now, like I said, we got earnings ramping up. We had Netflix last week, and we got Tesla, BA, Microsoft this week. Next week we get the bigger ones like Google and Amazon and stuff like that. But also next week we have FOMC on the 1st, February 1st. So with all the big players coming out next week and FOMC, it could be a very volatile next 2 weeks. So we'll have to see what happens. Now, another thing I want to point out is that the put to call ratio is very, very, very low. Everyone is in calls. It's at 0.54. It's at extreme low levels. So we're going to look for a rug pull this week. VIX, it really didn't go anywhere. It popped a little bit, then it dropped down. The weekly candles was it's pretty much a doji, not really doing anything. I figured VIX should be a little higher than what it is, but it isn't. But we're going to be looking for a pullback this week because everyone is in calls. VIX, I mean, we're still in an inside candle. We could definitely get out of it, but they could also push it down to 17 or even down to the 16 area. But I'm thinking that we're going to get a pullback just based on everyone in calls. So we could actually end up having a rug pull tomorrow, Tuesday, and then we can rally into the rest of the week. So we'll have to see what actually happens. Take it day by day. So VIX, get a little bit of head and shoulders right here, left, right, head right there. So it could end up going lower, but like I said, everyone's in calls 90% of the time. I don't really care what the chart says. If everyone's on one side, the market makers like to take advantage of that. Now, SPY, it dropped below the PDC line, RCT trend line, which is this orange line right here. Came up and touched it on the hourly. There hasn't really been getting that extreme levels away from it. It gets away from it a little bit, it pulls back to it, drops below, it gets pulled back to it. Usually you get a $15 to $20 extreme side, but lately it's been struggling to even get $10, and it's kind of annoying to watch. But because I have an RCT challenge account, and I can't really get that many plays because it's not meeting my parameters yet, so I might have to adjust my parameters a little bit. But anyways, so rug pull, I'm thinking, even though we had a strong day on Friday, everyone's in calls, probably looking for 400, which we could definitely get a push to 400, but we still have that weekly trend line right here, and the 400 being a big psychological number. But I'd watch it underneath 395 for push down to 390. Let's say 390. Then you get that 387 area. Then you get 385 right there. Then you get the 380 level right here. This is where it's been chopping forever right down here. So even if we get the 395, most red days, if it's really extremely volatile, it'll be a 10-point day. So even if it's a 10-point day, 385, it's right around the 10-point range on that, with 380 being down at support on the daily. So I don't really know if we'll break that. We're going to probably need some kind of catalyst, like bad earnings coming up, or something from the Fed for next week. But I think that we'll stay in the 400 to 380 range this week. Definitely could break out too. So it's just have to take it day by day. There's so much going on. It's hard to decipher what's going to end up happening. So we're just going to take it day by day and just play off the put to call ratio, which like I just said a couple of times, it's very, very high. So definitely watching for a pullback at least tomorrow or Tuesday, and then possibly a rally into 400. So we could see a dip down to 385 and a rally up to 400 at the end of the week. I don't know. We'll have to see. But one thing to also take note is that the inverted head and shoulders is still there on the weekly. They could end up if it does manage to break that, they could overshoot it to 402 to 405 or even 410 level before stalling out. But I think everything's going to hinge on earnings and FOMC this week and next week. So we'll just have to play it day by day. So that is one thing I'm watching, is for a SPY pullback on Netflix. Let's see. It's had good earnings and it popped on earnings, but every time it gets outside the Kellner channel on the daily right here, it pulls back, pulls back, pulls back, pulls back, pulls back. So I mean, it's done it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So this is the 6th time right here. We'll have to see if it actually does this. So I'd watch it underneath 335. You can even say 340 for push to 335. Then if it gets below the 330, 332 area, that's gap resistance, and it could end up filling the gap. So definitely keep an eye on Netflix on a drop to fill the gap. Amazon is another one I'll be watching. They're going to end up having earnings. For some reason, my gut's just telling me that they had record-breaking Black Friday, and that they're going to probably have a record-breaking Christmas season too. So I would imagine that they're going to have probably a strong earnings. I could be wrong, but that's just my thought. So I'd watch it over 98 for push to 100. It gets over 100, it could definitely make a run for gap resistance right here at 105, and gap fills 110. So keep an eye on that. Baba's just been overbought for just a long time. Bearish divergence still going on, making higher highs on the hourly, lower highs on the RSI. Daily, same thing, making higher highs. RSI is making higher lows. It's making higher highs. It's making higher lows, lower highs. Lower highs. I can't think straight. So yeah, same thing with histograms, making lower highs right there as it's making higher highs. So we get a bearish divergence on multiple time frames, multiple indicators. That's usually a good sign. The more you see it, the more it's high probability of actually playing out. The only problem with Baba is the options just have been terrible lately. especially if there's a gap up. It takes like 10-15 minutes for them to recalculate and readjust, and usually by the time they readjust, the move has already ended up happening. So it's just one of those things where it's very, very annoying. So maybe if the just chops a little bit in the beginning, that we can catch a move later in the day. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But Bauer is definitely one to keep an eye on. NVIDIA. Now NVIDIA is starting to look pretty good. Inverted head and shoulders, the left head, right shoulder. It gets over this, let's see, 188 level. We'll just round up and say 190. It could end up making a run to 200 to 210 to 220. We could end up seeing a strong move out of NVIDIA. It's starting to look really pretty good. We'll have to see how it reacts with SPY, if SPY ends up pulling back. So definitely have to keep an eye on that. So I would watch it over 180 for a push to 185, 190. Then if it does manage to break out of that, 200 would be a big, huge round number. But it could end up get some momentum out behind it and overshoot to 205 to 210. So that's gonna do it for the watch list. It's just some earnings coming up this week. Microsoft is one I usually watch. I don't watch those when it's earnings, so it's hard to tell what SPY is gonna do with the FOMC and the earnings and the put to call ratio being so low. So that's why I need to be in the room. We'll just make our decision in the morning based on what happens overnight, and we'll pick the levels in the morning, what we'll be watching. So that's why you need to be in the room. And that's going to do it. So thanks for watching.